Hey everybody. Before we get into this Minisode compilation, I want to let you know that this was supposed to be Roswell Part 2. Unfortunately, about an hour into our recording, Jesse ended up having a power outage and is still currently, 20 minutes later, sitting in a blackout. He lost his footage, and the episode was a bust. We will have Roswell Episode 2 next weekend as we make an attempt to get another recording in the next couple of days. But instead of leaving you without an episode tonight, we're going to go ahead and drop the next Minisode compilation. And if you enjoy it and want to support us directly, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. There are a bunch of tiers there, and is one where you get minisodes exclusively. If you enjoyed this, there are still 3 more over at the Patreon that are exclusive to them. Thanks for listening. Sorry about the little bump in the road, and we'll see you in a few days. Thanks for understanding. Hello, everybody, my little Chilluminated mini folks on
Stop
Patreon.
it.
No, we got to smooth it out, man. We got to do it every episode until we figure it out.
Chilluminated? Chilluminated sounds like you have laminated a person, but like very cool.
I laminated them with their own money.
Chilluminated.
It sounds like something like in an MMO we evolved. Like, I hit level 30 and I now am illuminated.
Yeah, it's like an enchantment you put on your artifact weapon.
But it's ice-based.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you can get in ice bases. Anyway, hello, everybody. We got some great little articles and stories for you today. I'm curious what Jesse brought, because he said he got a great little something for us.
I got a good one. It's like a straight-up story.
I'm handing
it's
you
not
this...
even like a news. It's a story.
This is me handing you the proverbial microphone.
Oh, I get to go first?
You get to go first.
All right.
Yeah. What is
This story is from the University of Toronto, and our neighbors to the north, Canada, I love you all. Every time I've been to Canada, it's been one of my best experiences, and this is my story for you. All right. For Susan Rockford, getting her purse stolen was a major blow. Rockford was a fourth-year engineering student at the time and had about $2,000 in Canadian savings bonds in her purse to help pay for her tuition. The bonds were sitting snug there in her college dorm room in the dresser when she went to the washroom. When she returned, her purse, its contents, and the bonds were gone.
Damn.
When she received an email from the University College Alumni Relations Officer, Mike Henry, saying her purse had been found, she was shocked. Finding a stolen item is one thing, but the theft occurred more than 30 years ago. It was 1987 when Rockford's purse went missing, along with the bonds, a bank card, birth certificate, a Simpsons department store card, her first credit card, her favorite silver necklace, and a coupon for one free hug. 5 minutes away from her dorm room, and everything was gone. She went to the bathroom, came back, gone.
Damn.
Panicked, she reported the incident and posted a notice with the residents nearby. It was all an enormous hassle for an already busy student. This was before the internet, she says. I had to physically go to each administrative office and fill out paper forms to get replacements. This January, University College embarked on its revitalization project, a massive undertaking to rejuvenate and update the historic building. Demolitions crews began removing the building's old plaster and drywall in the east and west halls and Proft chapter house. While working, a crew member came across an object peeking out of one of the torn down drywalls. As he continued to remove the debris and rip apart the wall, he discovered inside the wall was Rockford's purse.
What?
In perfect condition, full of all the contents. The crew member immediately advised management, and the purse was delivered to Henry, who contacted Rockford. When I received the email, I read the first few lines and thought, this must be a scam, said Rockford. But as I continued to read, there was too much very specific information for it to be a scam. Rockford, of course, emailed Henry back, recounted to him that what she could remember about the event. Henry, in turn, described the items still in the purse. The savings bonds, birth certificate, Simpsons cards, and a free hug coupon. 30 years later, Rockford's purse was returned with its contents, which had somehow become a time capsule of that part of her life stuck in the wall.
In the wall.
How'd that happen? It's literally on the University of Toronto website.
It's so weird. Cause that's like what is it? Fucking Schrodinger's like purse. It's everywhere and nowhere until you look at it. You just caught it at a point in reality where it was behind the wall.
It vanished from a dresser into a wall.
That's nuts.
That's either the greatest prank in the history of pranks, where someone like ripped open the wall, replastered the wall, there's how'd they get there? How'd it get in the wall?
I feel like so here's something like it's not the same, but it's like a similar thing. Every once in a while I'm still a guy who loves physical media.
Oh, me too.
I'm like a big cinephile. Yeah, I'm a big cinephile, and so I'm always buying like 4K, like nice Blu-rays. And a lot of the time what they do with those types of movies, as you probably know if you've ever bought one, is they turn them, they give you like the disc case, and then on top of that they give you like the slide on sort of like cardboard,
sure,
like the sleeve. And I just got like a box of them from Amazon, like maybe like 5 or 6 movies. And like the third movie in the stack, I was opening the movie and I slid it out of its cardboard sleeve. And in between the sleeve and the movie, in between the sleeve and the like case, was a receipt for somebody else's Amazon order from like 3 years before that.
Fascinating.
Wow.
Like, how the fuck did that get in there? I have no idea, but you never know. It's obvious to me that like in some way it must have happened. Like there's some freak way that it happened, but like it's so close to where it went away.
That's
but
wild.
Like who knows?
Yeah, it was. I would. It doesn't say here, but I would imagine it probably was in the same room.
Yeah, that's what I figured too. Right?
I wonder. I mean, like, who knows? I'm not the person who's gonna be like, obviously a ghost put it in the wall, or like there's clearly an explanation. Couldn't tell you what it is. Have not a clue. Wouldn't even presume to guess. But they were like, it was found completely preserved in the wall. Everything was in there.
I just want to know like where. Like I would love to be one of the guys who was busting them the wall and see it. Like, is it in like the scaffolding? Is it in like where was it?
It would fuck me up
that's the
to see it.
curiosity. Where in the
he saw it in the rubble, and he pulled back the rubble, and then he pulled more of the wall apart, and it was like in there, and he was like, "What the hell?
That's so weird." Oh God, that's so weird. Well,
yeah.
Alex, take us away, sir.
Okay, so last time, if you remember, I did some special stories from the New York Times that they have decided.
Are we getting
some of the
more
weirdest
weird
they've
New
ever
York Times
published.
stories?
I'm ready.
Yeah, I do. There's a
I'm
treasure
so pumped.
trove of them.
Let's do this.
This one is from April 21st, 1896, and it's called Flatbush Has a Ghost. It has returned for its hand, which Mr. Norton dug up. So, you know Flatbush in Brooklyn. So it says it has a ghost. It describes it as a Simon Pure, sure enough ghost that nightly walks on East Broadway near Nostrand Ave. And it stops at a house of a guy named Charles Norton to ask him for a hand that it lost there when it was still alive.
Excuse me, sir. Have you seen?
He does. It says,
hand?
yeah. He said. It says these visits are not fully appreciated by Norton or his wife, but it appears that Norton is to blame for the appearance of this ghost because his ghost ship was not heard of until Norton, while searching for gold in his cellar, dug up a hand that had lain undisturbed for years.
That sounds like a quarantine hobby if I've ever heard one.
That's what I'm saying. There was a ring on one of the fingers of the exhumed hand, and when this had been rubbed, the ghost, in true Arabian Nights fashion, appeared, and as it failed to get instructions from Norton, it is now said that all it wants is the hand and ring, and that thereafter it will cease worrying the descendants of the early Dutch in Flatbush.
Wait, why won't he give it to him then?
The story that the old Dutchmen in the town tell of the ghost is that 60 years ago, a belated traveler with lots of gold in his belt stayed overnight at the farmhouse of one Krug.
Oh my God.
I know, a thrifty Dutch farmer. Krug, when he heard of the large amount of gold that his visitor had about him, gave up his own room to the stranger and insisted that he should occupy it. The next day, the visitor had disappeared, and when the family asked Krug about it, he said the man had departed before daybreak. The bed clothing was also missing, and Krug accounted for this by saying he had burned it because the stranger had just recovered from an attack of yellow fever. Subsequently, a man's hand was found behind the bed. It had been cut off by Krug with an axe, it is said. When the hand was found, Krug disappeared, and the hand was buried. Miss Norton, in speaking of this ghost and its uncanny visits, said the house was haunted and continued, everybody who lived here since murder was done under this roof has had bad luck. One man who occupied the house about 40 years ago left his wife and children and ran away with another man's wife. Another was a burglar, and when he was caught, a whole lot of silverware was found buried in the cellar. Another committed suicide. We've been here for 6 years now, and there has been nothing but sickness in our family. I don't like to talk about these things. It sends a chill down my back. Norton, while hunting for the silverware supposed to be buried in his cellar, dug up 2 rusty Revolutionary swords and several pieces of ancient coin before the hand was unearthed.
Well, damn. I guess I'd search for gold too if I found all that first.
I don't know why he didn't give
Or
the
give
hand
the ghost
back
a
to the
command
ghost.
if it was like a genie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just
Dude,
tell
I'd be
him
like,
to
go
do
haunt my bully. That's it. That's
Yeah,
the best I
why?
could come up with on the spot. That's all I had.
Do you guys want
Sure,
another one?
I got one when you're ready too. I got one interesting one.
Yeah, these I'm gonna
right,
do
all
2
right.
more of these.
Yeah, and I'll
then
wrap
you
it up.
And then you can close this out. Yeah. So this one comes from Christmas Day, 1913, and it's called Santa Dies on Xmas Tree.
R.I.P.
no.
Santa, dude.
From Denver. Little crippled Wilbur Harris, 8 years old, is to have a Merry Christmas, but his Santa Claus is dead. A man named W.H. Heap he came all the way from Patterson, New Jersey, because he had tuberculosis and he wanted to do a good deed for someone. And so he ignored his doctor's advice to stay in bed, walked several blocks through the deep snow, carried a sled, a train of toy cars, clothes, rubbers, candy, and many other presents for the destitute Harris family. He found out, the reason he came is because he found out that the mom told the kid that there was no Santa Claus for poor people. So he fucking got up and he drove across town, bought the kid a bunch of shit, and walked over to the house to drop it off. He couldn't barely, get to his car, and he died later that day. But right before he died, he dropped off all this shit for the kid, and the kid had Christmas.
Well, now the kid truly will. The mother's lessons will come true. No more Santa forever.
Isn't that
wild.
insane?
I think it's like slightly beautiful. Sad, but like beautiful.
Chicken soup for the dead Santa's soul. Okay, last one comes from September 23rd, 1898. It's called Ghost Moved Macaroni.
God, macaroni was big in the old days.
Yeah.
I'm moving yourself, ghost. I leave you.
Life and death. Okay, this is in Orange, New Jersey. Prayers will be said tomorrow morning in the Church of St. Michael the Archangel in Matthew Street, this city, to lay a ghost, which is driving the Italian residents of White Street, West Orange, into a superstitious frenzy. Ghostly rappings, hand clappings, and other supernatural
Ghostly
demonstrations.
and
have been
hand
heard.
clappings.
Yep.
Ghostly rappings and hand clappings. Yeah. Wickedy whackings.
It says.
Yeah, I get it.
It's like Hamilton. It's 1898.
1898.
Since Monday, so for about a week, in the store and rooms occupied by Frank Petro family, who have a grocery store in one end of a big frame tenement house, and they live in the other side of it. It was in this house that Peter Cristiano was stabbed by Lorenzo Corbo, an old organ grinder, at a New Year's Eve party 8 months ago. The neighbors assert that the ghostly demonstrations are caused by the restless spirit of Peter Cristiano, who was killed by an organ grinder. Father Tequila,
Is that
pastor
right?
of the
Is
Church
that
of
true?
St. Michael. Yeah.
He was killed by an organ grinder?
He was stabbed to death by an organ grinder at a New Year's Eve party.
Oh my God.
man.
This is the most...
You guys think you live in crazy times now, but then y'all have never been fucking stabbed to death
an organ
at a fucking
grinder.
New Year's
Jesus,
Eve party
man.
by an
That's a
old
New Year's
organ
Eve party.
grinder.
This is why OSHA was
Old
invented,
man.
dude.
So Father Tequila, a pastor
Father
from the
Tequila,
church,
that's great.
came. He sprinkled holy water. He was in the house, and there was nothing happening while he was there. But as soon as he left, everything came back double. And the guy who owns the place, he says he's a big, hearty man of intelligent appearance. Says he does not believe in ghosts, but does not know what else to think. At midnight last night, he declares he heard a noise as if the front doors of his store, which were fastened with a heavy bar set in staples, had been thrown wide open and the bar flung to the floor. He tried to get out of bed to investigate, but was held down by some invisible power, which pressed upon his chest and made it impossible for him to move. The presence remained for an hour.
Jesus.
The store doors were locked as usual, but a box of macaroni, which had been placed upon a shelf high up on the top shelf, stood on the floor in the middle of the room with a handful of long straws lying across the top in the form of a cross.
Taunting them for trying to
Times Square.
exorcise him out of the building.
Yeah. And check this out. So a Times correspondent heard the noises tonight, made a thorough investigation of the rooms and cellar without ascertaining their cause, and Samuel Cristiano, who is the brother to Peter Cristiano, the murdered man who got murdered by the organ grinder, has a saloon on the next block and is convinced that the presence is his brother. He says he went in last night into the room and begged the spirit to make it visible. He said it didn't make itself visible, but as he rose from his knees after praying, 3 unusually loud knocks sounded just under the place where he was standing. The guy who owns the place and his family say they have not slept for 3 nights. They went out to stay with friends tonight and intend to move out of the house tomorrow. Tenants in the other end of the house have heard nothing.
Damn. That's weird.
I don't know why the ghost chose macaroni.
Well, macaroni
as
just seems like the universal
communication
language of the
tool.
late 1800s.
Yeah, if you're a New York immigrant from Italy, I guess like macaroni is like the beginning and the end of everything. That is
cool.
crazy.
All right,
All right, what
this
do you
one
got?
is not paranormal nor UFO related.
What?
Unearthed
that. Look
Nazi
at that.
diary allegedly reveals locations of hidden treasures.
Okay. You had me going for a minute, and then we're right back in our comfort zone.
We're right back in there.
A diary said to have been written by a Nazi officer at the close of World War II allegedly contains revelations about where treasures pilfered by the Third Reich were hidden throughout Poland. The remarkable journal was reportedly written by an individual calling himself Michaelis, who claimed to have been part of a 1945 effort to conceal the massive cache of stolen riches. Following the war, the diary fell into the hands of a mysterious 1,000-year-old Masonic lodge in Germany to which a number of high-ranking Nazis had belonged during the war.
How did they get that?
Good question. The journal's existence was subsequently kept a secret over the next 7 decades until the group, which counts among its members descendants of those Third Reich officers, handed it over to a Polish organization as way of making amends for the actions of their ancestors. Contained within the diary is Michaelis' account of how the operation unfolded, as well as 11 locations in Poland where the Nazis hid the riches. Incredibly, alongside the journal was a literal treasure map leading to a well on the grounds of a palace in the Polish village of Rastoka. According to Michaelis, the spot contains a jaw-dropping 30 tons of gold that were buried approximately 200 feet below ground in a shaft that was then sealed via explosives.
So there's no way in?
No, he sealed it, but hang on, we'll get to that. As of now, only that
Okay.
specific location has been revealed to the public, but the Polish organization in possession of the diary says that it contains the hiding spots for other treasures, including religious relics and artwork that the Nazis stole from Belgium, France, Poland, and Russia. While the entire tale sounds almost too fantastic to be true, the group insists that the journal has been authenticated by 3 different experts. The veracity of Michaelis' claims may soon be put to the test, as plans are currently underway for a search of the palace grounds in Rastoka, with the hopes of finding the closed-off well and the enormous cache of gold believed to be hidden there. Should the treasure be found, future expeditions presumably will be launched to investigate the other 10 sites noted in the book.
You know, if you want to
Wow.
get like super crazy into like Nazi treasures and stuff like that, there's a really great book. I can't remember the name of it, but I will be sure to tweet it out if people are like, you can also Google it because it's definitely true. Everyone should be aware that all the Indiana Jones stuff is actually based off of like kind of real life stories that happened during the war. And Heinrich Himmler was like obsessed with finding ancient artifacts and ancient treasures and shit. And so one of my favorite history stories is that FDR was like, all right, well, they're obviously crazy, but if they're not, we need to have a team out there able to stop them. So America made like an anti-Nazi grail finding squad.
That's great.
And they went off to like prevent the Nazis from succeeding in discovering like lost artifacts and stuff like that, even though there's no evidence anything was ever found, but like they had to make it just in case.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's what a
This
ridiculous
is a story too. Like this is like a myth I'm sure you're familiar with, where they found the Spear of Destiny. Was it like Hitler had it for a while, and then the reason he lost is because Eisenhower got his hands on it, and then because whenever you lose it, you die, and like you know that's like the curse of like
Eisenhower did. I believe Eisenhower did it.
Yeah, and that's how. And then he
I
died
believe
when
that.
he lost it. That's the car crash happened and everything, and yeah, it was like interesting stuff that we'll cover one day for sure.
Yeah, it's every time anyone brings up like Nazi treasures, there's either like the gold and paintings they stole, or the other spectrum, which is like they went and hunted for the lost Ark or the Holy Grail, and those are the ones.
Have you heard of the Holy Land exhibition?
No.
This guy Futterer, I don't remember what his first name is, but this guy Futterer, he's like Indiana Jones, and there's like in Silver Lake, there's like a museum you can go to see a bunch of like stuff that an Indiana Jones type guy brought back from like those types of
interesting.
trips. He even went on an Ark of the Covenant expedition.
I know that there was in Germany a few years ago an expedition on this. On here it says 2013, but I guess in 2013 in Germany they had a thing about like the Nazis going to look for crazy shit like this, and then how there were literally teams from around the world assigned to stuff. Like, can you imagine how crazy of a job that would have been? Like, you've got to get to the Ark before the Nazis. Like,
that's wild.
That's straight up Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that really is.
That's Indiana Jones. It's incredible.
That's like, can you like just those words like landing on your ears and being like, oh, shit.
Right?
Like, it's insane.
That's awesome.
But it's funny because if you read the notes, like FDR was like, sounds like a load of shit to me, but we got to do it.
Yeah, you got it because
if they're right,
imagine they are, and they get an artifact that just allows them to win the war.
I think that's fascinating. They're like, well, we can't take the risk.
Oh, good. That's great shit. Thank you everybody for listening to Chilluminati, and thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. Your support goes a long, long way to making this awesome job that we get to do. We're gonna be bouncing, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody. My
Goodbye,
little Chilluminated minis.
So dumb.
Fantastic. Hello, my little chill minis.
Stop it. Not even cool.
Minis.
No. These people
Chillumichilmies.
No, these people paid for this.
Chulo
Don't treat them
timies.
like this. No.
Cholemiomias.
No.
This is like me talking to Wallace now.
Yeah, that's really.
Hey, Chilamocinani. Apochina, Chinoya.
And then he just barks.
Chilluminati. I call him my little Chilluminati sometimes.
Oh, that's adorable. Wallace is he's a little cryptid. He's a little spawn of cryptid.
Chilluminati, yeah.
He's like a
He's
piece
my
of like the bulletproof wolf fell off and became sentient.
He's my little Chilluminati man.
He is. Welcome to your little chill mini, everybody. How's it going? Hope everybody had enjoyed the episode. We're here with some fun stuff from around the internet. I got a couple of articles I want to read actually here. One that's fascinating scientifically and one that's kind of weird. But I don't know what you boys brought either. I'm excited to hear what you've all brought.
Hit us, dude.
I have an update.
All right.
I have an update.
You want to start? All right, hit me with an update.
Yeah, mine's pretty short. So I went into this like a couple weeks ago. The murders of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan in Rexburg.
Yes.
In Twin Falls County. The remains were discovered. Police found remains of the 17-year-old and the 7-year-old on June 9th on the property of the Daybell dude, Chad Daybell, and that crazy lady, Lori Daybell, lied to the police, ran away. They got found at like a resort or some shit.
Yep.
There's all this like just tragedy in Ohio. I just wanted to give everybody the update because they were identified positively, and there's like a big candlelight vigil and stuff. So it's all real. That was a crazy story. I can't wait for the Netflix doc on it.
Yeah, that was wild, and if anything else, at least there's closure to that story now, and there's no more,
I'm just glad that nobody's like hurting anymore for like whether or not their kids are alive. It is always a tragedy when kids die.
Oh, of course, but no one deserves that. So I hope they see justice at the end. And awful story.
Yeah.
I'll bring my article to the table first to lighten it up. Then how's this? some hopeful news for those who are into the scientifically minded areas. Jesse, I hope you enjoy this as well.
I'm ready.
This comes from nottingham.ac.uk and a bunch of other, you can read this in a bunch of other news sites as well. And I'll just simply say, research sheds new light on intelligent life existing across the galaxy. Did you read this, Jesse, about a new study that was done using new
No, I haven't heard of this
measuring?
before. No.
Let me read this. A new study led by the University of Nottingham and published today in the Astrophysical Journal has taken a new approach to this problem when dealing with intelligent life. Using the assumption that intelligent life forms on other planets in a similar way as it does on Earth, researchers have obtained an estimate for a number of intelligent communicating civilizations within our own Milky Way galaxy. They calculate there could be over 30 active communicating intelligent civilizations in our home galaxy. Professor of Astrophysics at the University of Nottingham, Christopher Consolis, who led the research, explains, quote, there should be at least a few dozen active civilizations in our galaxy under the assumption that it takes 5 billion years for intelligent life to form on other planets as on Earth. Consolis also explains, quote, the idea is looking at evolution, but on a cosmic scale. We call this calculation the astrobiological Copernican limit, unquote. And then there's a bunch of other stuff they talk about. What you read more is that 30 is actually on the very low side. There's like a range of estimates that they came up with. 30 is on the very low side, and it goes as high as into the thousands, depending on how, using the same kind of format that they, assuming it went along with as Earth. So this is just exciting stuff that if this is true, we have Jesse's listening intently. No emergencies? Are you good?
I don't know what that is. I can't tell if it's knocking on your ends or my end.
It could be explosions outside my window.
Ah, all right.
Okay. I was going to say, I have no knocking.
I was like,
that I'm
what
aware
the
of.
hell is that noise?
My window is closed, but there are fireworks.
Interesting.
Simple as that.
Let's keep going because there's some other things here that's exciting. The research shows that the number of civilizations depends strongly on how long they are actively sending out signals of their existence into space, such as radio transmissions from satellites, televisions, etc. If other technological civilizations last as long as ours, which is currently 100 years old, then there will be about 36 ongoing intelligent technological civilizations throughout our galaxy. They mean 100 years old as far as communicating
like
intelligence.
Globalized.
Yeah, globalized communication, not 100, and we're not just 100 years old. However, the average distance to these civilizations would be 17,000 light years away, making detection and communication very difficult with our present technology. It is also possible that we are the only civilization within our galaxy unless the survival times of civilization like our own are long. So they're saying other civilizations could have cropped up and died out before they even got anywhere near technology like ours, and we could be the only ones around. But the study talks about like the 17,000 is kind of what, again, on the higher end estimate, but like the closest that they estimate is in the low thousands of light years, still super far away. But yeah, this new study, that's kind of where it ends, and it just leaves the question or kind of the idea that, taking the form that Earth went with life, if we apply that to the Milky Way galaxy, there could be tons of other intelligent life forms within our own galaxy by itself.
It's the same thing we always talk about, right? It's like more science behind the concept of like the universe.
Yes,
is fucking big.
It's
like
huge.
There has to be other us's. Like,
but it's fun to think about. Like they could be that close. They could be within our own Milky Way galaxy, which is to us impossible to traverse. Yeah. But like it's in the grand scheme of the universe, that's next door. That's
it's
like
just that close.
It is. It is that close. It's super cool.
I'm over it. If they were cool, they'd be here already.
All right, I got one more fun story for you, and I'll wrap up my side. Argument among ghost hunters leads to stabbing.
Oh.
Authorities in Arkansas say that the conclusion of a late-night ghost hunt turned ugly when one of the spirit seekers allegedly stabbed his fellow investigator of the unknown. The bizarre altercation reportedly took place around 2 a.m., an hour before the witching hour, this past Tuesday morning when a trio of self-described, quote, paranormal hunters finished their expedition at an unnamed cemetery in the city of Little Rock. At some point during their attempt at contacting the other side, tempers flared and violence soon followed. According to police, the trouble began as the group made their way back to their car and an argument erupted over who would be driving them back to their hotel. Eventually, Mark won the battle of wills and wound up behind the wheel. As they made their way down the road, cops say a female member of the group indicated that she was having difficulty breathing and asked Galloway to pull the car over so that she could regain her composure. When he refused to do so, an incident report states the woman and another ghost hunter in the backseat attempted to overtake Galloway, who responded by reaching around and stabbing at the individual in the leg, just stabbing him in the leg. While one might think that such a skirmish would result in the immediate breakup of the group, they apparently continued on their ride together back to their motel, perhaps because that was the only place they could go, and they only had one way of getting there at 2 a.m. They're okay. They called the police the next day and they got stitched up. But I just found that pretty funny that the ghost hunters found no spirits, but they got angry about not pulling over, so they stabbed one another. Good times.
That's how it always goes down with a ghost team. It's a lot of passionate people.
You have to be passionate. If you're a ghost hunter, you can't be all in. You have to be all whole ass, man.
It's scary. It's what do you call it? Where you get scared of being, what do you call that? Where you
Spooked?
can't be, where you,
what?
When the walls are closing in? What do you call that?
Oh, you're talking about, oh no, don't. You're making me forget.
I know. I can't
You're
think of the goddamn
sharing
word.
my forget. You're sharing.
You can't spelunk if you have this fear.
Yeah. You're getting enclosed by the walls.
Claustrophobic.
Yes.
Claustrophobic.
There we
God
are.
damn it.
Jesus.
What a fool I am.
What's happening to us? Yeah. Well, Jesse, I hope when we go ghost hunting at that $10,000 tier, you get scared and you see a ghost. Dude.
I won't get scared. I'll be more scared of like the psycho killer in the house than I am of the ghost. At least humans are predictable and terrible.
That's true. And you can punch a human.
Oh yeah, but I'll be more like like slap fighting.
I'd run. I
Stay
would just
away!
run away. Bolt out of there.
What are you doing?
Alex-
Stop stabbing me! That's the last thing you'll hear. Ow! That is ow! Why though?
And then you become the ghost, and then you believe.
Yeah, and then I'll show up to you and be like, dude, it was real. I'm a ghost.
And you can
I'm dead, bro.
dude,
Look.
and then you can possess Harold because Harold's not actually possessed,
Oh
so
my
it's free real
God.
estate, dude.
Like what we do in the shadows. I'll be a little doll in your house and be like, what are you doing, Mathis? Hello. I'm a little
Just
doll.
not now. Go back in your closet. Get back in your shoebox, dude.
Okay.
You can be like Chi McBride in The Frighteners.
I don't know what that is.
It's a great movie. Check it out.
I'll have to.
Another little known Kiwi director, Peter Jackson.
Oh, well, who's that?
Yeah.
Alex, what do you got for us, boy?
Okay. So there is a house on Lombard Street in
On
San
Haunted Hill.
Francisco. There is a story that happened in 1968 of a woman named Pat. I'm not going to put her last name in this because why? Or her address because why would I do that? But she was like a socialite. She has everybody in San Francisco over to her house. There was an astrology theme at the party. Again, this is 1968. People were paired up because of their zodiac signs. There were psychic readings from a palmist. There was a crystal ball gazer, astrologer, and a tarot reader. And at the end of the night, they had like a tarot reading, and the tarot reader got mad at the hostess, because she didn't bring him a drink. And he said, here's a quote.
He shot her.
Quivering with rage, he directed a stream of abuse at me. He had never been treated so rudely. I was an insufferable, ungracious hostess. He was leaving, but not before he made certain I would never have any happy moments in that house again. He fixed me with a glare, his face puffed and distorted. I lay a curse upon you in this house. I do not forgive. Remember that. And within weeks, her life was fucked up. Her doors would just lock randomly in her house.
Ooh.
Her windows would just open. It would be like freezing cold in her house, even though the thermostat was at 90 degrees. She'd wake up at 2 a.m, footsteps, music. For some reason, she heard the song Mockingbird Hill all the time.
I don't know that song.
You know what
off the top
song
of
that
my
is?
head. No.
It's this song right here.
That would be awful to fucking wake up to, dude.
I
Ugh.
hate that. I hate it.
No, I hate it. That's like a horror movie. No.
I mean, like, if it was just unironic, I would be like floating around my bedroom, brushing my teeth. But because it's like ghost music, I hate it.
Yep.
Her home was broken into, got ransacked. Her car was destroyed. She tried to throw another party, and there was a fire that broke out. She was assaulted by a date who had to be removed from her house by the police. Her new neighbors were a drug dealing gang. She had to give up her Lhasa Apso because it got sores and became so scared that it was pulling out its own fur.
God damn.
And like when they rehomed it, it like got fine instantly. She'd get dizzy in her house, headaches. One night she almost overdosed on meds because she was so confused. And within 3 years of that curse, 3 of her closest friends, all young and healthy, all whom resided in the house for short stints after the astrology party, died.
Jesus Christ.
Her cousin Carolyn and an assistant named Vera, who were both very, very scared while they were in the house, killed themselves. And the third woman, who was a secretary, this was her best friend, died in the house under circumstances that they were so weird that nobody could figure out how she died.
Huh.
What?
So this was the following May. She abandoned the house to live with her husband, who was like a new husband that they just got married. They moved up the wedding date even to like get her the fuck out of there, but she couldn't get out of her lease. And so the house was just empty. And then her friend was like, can I use it? Because her daughter just got married. So she was trying to like be out of their house for a while so that her daughter and her husband could like be at home alone for a couple of weeks or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And, so she was like, all right. But it's fucked up there. Like I wouldn't go back there. And, 1 week later, a neighbor saw flames. She was found face down on the bed in her bedroom, completely burned. All the windows and doors to the room were locked. And it was determined that she died before the fire started, but nobody could figure out why.
What?
Wow.
That was the coroner's report. We don't know why she died. Also, there was I love this case because there was an inspector from the San Francisco Fire Department who was literally called George Lucas, and he determined that it broke out after she died and that she was home alone. He said he said, in my 22 years as a member of the fire department, I've had lots of experiences of death by fire, and there was something about this one that just wasn't right. And so the woman who died told her friend that she didn't think that it was the tarot reader's curse that fucked up the house. She said, I think it was here already, and that he like woke it up. And when the owner of the house investigated, there was some legs to that theory, because she looked into the former tenants of the house over the years, and it had an uncommonly high rate of divorce and alcoholism amongst previous owners. One of the owners complained of an illness that she got while she was there that she never even got rid of years later. At least one woman had committed suicide in the house before. Neighbors who knew the person who died told her that before she died, she listened to music at all hours of the night, especially Mockingbird Hill. And before her suicide, her cousin Carolyn confessed to this woman that she heard the song all the time, even after she moved away, and that's part of why she killed herself.
Damn.
And so he sold the building. The landlord of the building sold the building in 1973, like 5 years later. He said, that building was voodoo for me. It had a hex on it. I had more trouble there than I'd ever had in my life. It was so hard to unload. And he wrote, I was glad when I finally sold it in San Francisco for $150,000.
What?
Damn.
He listed in 2019, it listed for $7.8 million on the market, and it sold for only $5.1 million, which is still more money than anybody should pay for any possession. But hey, it's a significantly cheaper price. It has 12 rooms, 3 stories. It has views of the bay, and it's like on Lombard Street, which is a famous street. It's very cheap. It's very cheap for that house. There are 5-bedroom houses in the neighborhood that are on sale for more.
Damn.
And in 73, she sent 2 psychics into the house. They came out with photographs that changed over time. And
what do you mean?
Yeah, you gotta
There's
go
no
whole
details.
detail there,
There's no
man.
details. There's no details.
No.
They seem to change over time, and he wrote one of the guys, a guy named Frank, wrote a summary of the investigation. He said, "You are and will be protected from anything in the house by an exorcism that my group and I have done from a distance and from symbols left behind in the house. I can only suggest that you do not go there if at all possible. In particular, never go alone." How about that?
I don't want the house.
The haunted house
I wouldn't
on
buy
Lombard
it.
Street.
If I had $6 million to just blow, I wouldn't buy it. Nope.
I don't
thank
think I
you.
would either, to be honest with you.
Like, that seems like a house, like, there are a lot of haunted houses and haunted dolls you can buy. Be like, yeah, I'd risk it. Let's see what happens. That's just not one of them.
That one's a little bit too convincing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Lots of deaths. Lots of deaths. The Mockingbird Hill thing is very weird.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't-
But yeah,
That's a good one.
that is my article for the day.
It's a spookums.
I love a good haunted house.
I wanna see a ghost.
I just wish
one
I had
day.
answers. All the cool things were like, I mean, that's all we know. It's like, what?
I mean, I think you could like probably find a further in-depth article about it. I just am reading like a arts section article from like a local newspaper.
Yeah.
But this woman is like she has a book. You can actually check out the book called The Intruders.
Here I
that's why
am,
her name is public.
Looking
That's
up
why
The
her name is public.
Intruders.
Yep. Now I'm here.
1982, Pat Montandon.
There's an Intruders movie.
I don't know if it's based off the book, but there is a book.
After the devastating loss of her mother, a teenager attempts to uncover the dark secrets that hide in her new home. Watch it now
so
on YouTube.
it's some pretty fucked up shit.
Oh, Rotten Tomatoes, 17%, dude.
Not bad.
Oh my God! This is like a Disney girl who then ended up becoming a nobody. What's this girl's name?
The Intruders movie?
Yeah, The Intruders movie. I'm looking at it right now.
A Disney
17%
girl who
tomato
became
meter,
nobody.
21% audience rating.
2015?
Miranda Cosgrove, that's her name.
She's the main character?
Yeah.
I thought she was like popular.
Her dad moved to a musty old house. When
iCarly.
Rose discovers that the previous tenant mysteriously disappeared, leaving her possessions behind. She suspects that her unfriendly neighbors know more than they let on. Well, maybe it's not the same as the movie. I mean, as the actual story. Wow. Good stuff.
God damn. All right. Well, that's my story, folks.
It's a good story. That's my articles. That's the Minisode, gentlemen. I think we're all done. Judges, you got, right? You're good?
Yeah, no, I'm great.
Yeah.
Last one, I have so many questions. I wish I could. I love a good story. I don't know that I believe any of it, but I love a good story.
mean,
Hey,
there's a
Jesse,
bunch
I gotta say, appreciate you hanging out. You had a hell of a day today. You've been up and nonstop all day. This is your last thing? Do you get to go to lay down after this?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Can't stop, won't stop.
All right. Always
I
on
want to
that
go watch
grind.
the Squadrons footage. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Squadrons footage either. I'm excited
It's
to see
neat.
it. I
It's
love
neat.
Rogue Squadron games.
It's
So.
not just Battlefront, right?
No, I will say that at first I thought it was all a lie, like fake, but there is no targeting reticule on the footage. And I was like, how do you play a game like this but it turns out they removed it for the footage.
Yeah, of course.
That's very stupid. But
That's incredibly dumb, but it looks fancy. All right.
yeah, I really want to play it.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you in a couple days. Goodbye.
Bye,
More
everybody.
teeter coming.
More. Thanks for your money, friends.